And we may be able to save some time on our next agenda item, updates from Councilmember Perales, as I think we've all been already able to meet Jean, so we may not be able to put her under the microscope and grill her for an introduction.
Joan, I can't hear anything. We've got multiple conversations going.
Oh, I think you just want to say more about it. Yeah. So just briefly, my name is Jean Cohen. If I haven't met you before, I'm certain that I'll be working with you. I work for the council member on specific policy areas related to housing and homelessness, land use, the environment, and budget. And then I'm a liaison for about 7 or 8 of the neighborhood associations, some of which are represented in this group. But I'm born and raised in San Jose and grew up in downtown San Jose my whole life. So I'm just excited to work with you, and please utilize me in the office as a resource if you ever need anything.
Thank you, Jean.
Thanks, Jean.
Can you say again what you said, homelessness, land use, and
The environmental issues and then the budget.
And then in this brief lull, if anybody could locate the sign-up sheet and then just keep it on its merry way around the room. I know we've had some people leaving already. There's 2 of them going around. So if anybody hasn't signed it, Leslie, okay. Oh, sorry. That's right. No, there's another one floating around here somewhere. Angelina, thank you. That was very well presented. And as I look at this, it is very simple. Not a whole lot of thought to be put into it. And yes, thank you so much. Okay, now on to the main attraction, if I may put that in such a way.
I don't know.
We have Councilmember Perales here to provide updates, and then we'll have a brief time for questions and answers.
Not that exciting. So, welcome. Thank you all for coming again to the CLC. Once again, thank you for coming last month. 1 on the shift of days, and then 2 certainly having it be right after the incident with Officer Johnson and allowing me the opportunity to present quickly and move along. I appreciate that. I do think, and I had mentioned this at the end of last meeting, or when I read it last time, that if I felt as though we had outgrown this building, we would try to find another, or this room, we would find another spot. I think we're okay right now. I think we've survived, and maybe, and I expected that, maybe an influx in the beginning and then level out. So I think we're fine for now to remain here. So besides that housekeeping stuff, I did want to start with this map. So if anybody hadn't seen it, thank you, Pete, for highlighting this. You'll see it, I'll explain it anyways, but basically the lines that are going to be concerning our district are what you guys brought up. We have Taylor going down San Pedro, and then we have Keys here, and then we have it going up 10th, I believe it is, right? Yes, 10th. And so I wanted to have him confirm it, but what hasn't been done yet by PG&E is they are still trying to figure out what trees might be interfering or could potentially in the future interfere with that line. And once they've determined that, then they're going to be going out to the notice, and eventually those trees will be removed. This won't really be a petition of sorts of, I want to keep the tree. If the tree is interfering in the point where it's been deemed that it's a danger to that line, it's going to be removed. There will be replacing of those trees, as he said, and that's on their cost. That's not on the PG&E, not on our users' cost, but that will happen. And so nobody knows yet where or what trees might be removed. So for now, as they're going through that process, but if you live on or around, some of you obviously I know you do in those areas, if you were to take a peek now and you wanted to call, you could certainly call and find out, but they are doing that work. They are doing that, and like you said, they're in the process where they're trying to figure out now, based on the trees, they imagine it might be a problem. They want to figure out, are these trees going to grow so big that they would be, or is this smaller bushes or something that is never going to get a root that goes that deep. And so eventually, if you have a tree in front of your property that is an issue, you will find out. But if you do live off of those tracks, I would certainly go out and look. The second thing I want to make sure, and that's why we wanted to have them come present to you here in the CLC, what you can do is bring it back to your neighborhood association, especially if you're along one of those lines, and to let them know that this is happening. To dispense that information out to them, let them know, give them the contact information for PG&E, give them the update that what we've had, and just to kind of, so that way it's not a surprise when this comes about, that they get a notice that, hey, your tree's going to be gone, that they've heard why, they understand the reasons why, hopefully it's a smooth process. So, any questions on that?
Yeah, as far as replacing trees, how would that be replaced? Is it replacing maybe a tree that's too large and put another tree in its place that doesn't grow so large? Or where do they replace it? They replace it in someone's yard?
My understanding
Especially if they're street trees.
is not that. Probably, I mean, if you maybe go from a tree to a bush or something, possibly. But my understanding was that they would find a safer location. It might be it's just 5 feet away, so there may be maybe more into the yard rather than on the walkway or something. But that it would be off of the, that 5-foot line on either side.
So they could replace it into your front yard out of the park strip, is that it, or you just don't really know?
That there's no parameters on that.
Okay.
As long as it's not over the line and it's not going to be a danger, right? So, and that's where I think PG&E, that's what they're saying. They're willing to work with the community in regards to that. If we have to remove a tree, we will replace it, and let's find a place.
Yeah, I just hate to see, a street that's been planted, and all of a sudden it's all denuded.
Mhm.
I agree with you, and I've obviously driven down these streets and you take a look, and my fear too, right, of you go down the street and all of a sudden you lose a bunch of trees in a row. But at the same time, I don't want to have a tree bust down into one of these pipelines
Yeah.
and cause an issue. So you weigh the factor, and the reality of it is these pipelines are not moving.
Now,
So the only thing that is moving is the tree. So let's try to get them
well,
replaced in a place.
would they plant a tree from city property onto private property, or replace it onto private property, like in someone's backyard, or?
Yeah, and that's all stuff we can certainly work through, right?
Yeah.
If a tree is going to be removed, that's something that we can work through with them to make sure that we replace it.
I thought he said it went down one of the lanes on 10th Street.
That's their understanding where they are. I don't know what side of the lane it is, where it might be closer to the sidewalk or not. And just to play it safe, I'm assuming they're probably wanting to keep it at this point. Anything along those paths, they're out there trying to make sure that nothing's going to be a danger to it. Excuse me, we may very well find out that none of the trees have to be removed.
Right.
Could be a benefit, but it's good to know this ahead of time, that that's what we're looking at, worst case scenario.
Well, and I will say though, that from my perspective, I thought that they were very clear that they did want to protect our green canopy, because everybody in San Jose, I think, feels that same way.
Which is why they're going through that process of not just saying, if you're a tree in this above the line, you're gone. They're looking into what size tree are you going to be, if you're, or are you already? Will you actually damage the line and have it potential to?
Okay, any other questions about okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Richard.
Richard, okay.
Yeah, Councilmember, as we spoke, probably the program that I'm trying to initiate could perfectly fit this type of setting, because I can coordinate with them, based on the fact that we are contractor and on enforce, that we could work with them to keep everybody informed within, within this group, for example. Is that something that is okay to do? What is your opinion?
It'd be on your own. I mean, you wanted to grab his card and give him a call and say, hey, this is something that I'm interested in doing. You'd be doing on your own volunteer effort. I don't think it would be wrong to go out and volunteer and try to offer up that assistance. And this, you may get support from the different neighborhood associations that want to stay informed and that may want to work with you as well. So, and I know Richard would may want to have an opportunity to present what his interests are and stuff in front of the CLC at one point tonight. I recommended him to come see the group and then maybe reach out with you and see if that's something he can do in the future. So the next steps, and Jean jumped in front of me. I was going to introduce her, but she came in, popped in for a CLC meeting earlier this year, and then today she's here in representation of the office, as well as I told you guys before. We'll have a rotating representative from my office. We're very excited to have Jean on staff. As she said, she grew up here in District 3, so she's got a history here as a child, as a student, with family. Still has family here and roots here. But she's gone off and gotten a lot of experience within the political arena, working for Jim Bell locally here at the County Board of Supervisors. More recently coming from Oakland, working at the Oakland Housing, East Bay Housing. So brings in a lot of experience and a lot of passion, and we're happy to have her in the office and working on everything she's working on, namely, which is the budget. That's the priority of what our, you know, our council right now is working on, because we're in that season and we're trying to determine, which is really good, for the first time in a number of years, what to do with this excess money. So it's great. But certainly there's still not enough money to go around. There's not even enough money to replace all the services that we lost. So it's not going to be something where we're getting back everything that we had lost, everything we hoped to get back, but it's better than cutting. And so now it's a matter of, well, where do we set the priorities? Through this budget process, there's going to be a number of priorities that you hear get brought forward. You know, we have a number of issues, certainly public safety, our roads and pavement maintenance. So all the different city services that we've lost, the city staff and personnel that we've cut that make it harder to do business here in our city. So there's a lot that's going to be at the table. The mayor's budget message passed unanimously, which was exciting. Yeah, no, it's great to be working together, you know, and being in line on issues. And there certainly was a number of things in the message that will benefit the city and that will benefit actually our district as well. But not everything that we would love to get back. And so this is the time for the community to get engaged. And I think we had, Gene, did we pass those out or no?
Yeah, the flyers are around.
I think there's one over here.
Yeah, so if you didn't get one, make sure you grab one. So we're having our budget meeting on May 14th.
Oh, can we get one back?
Yes, sorry. Oh, there they are. I missed them. I stole yours. May 14th from 6 to 8 at Roosevelt Community Center, like it was last year, Roosevelt Community Center. We also have the opportunity, which the mayor introduced this year, on, blanking on the term right now.
Zero-based.
Participatory budgeting.
Participatory.
Thanks, yeah. Good, right when people's taking a bite. Pizza. Participatory budgeting, which would essentially set aside some of the budget that may have traditionally been set aside for the council districts, namely myself and my team, to decide where the funds may want to go. But instead, it would be where we bring it out to the community, we allow the community to engage. Certainly takes more work, more time. You need community participation. You don't want to do this with just 2 or 3, you know, community members. And then go through that process of having the district and the community set the priorities, and then make our budget asks out of that, you know, that budget that we've been set aside. And so I had offered up to the mayor, knowing that we have our engaged CLC here, that we may want to be a guinea pig for that process, because he's looking for the district to be the trial run, or to see if anybody wanted to go through that. It would be with his support, not without. He would have support as well from him and his staff, but namely it would be mine and my staff in our office, and then we'd have to make sure that the community was engaged. I put that out, but really, you know, to see if that's something that transpires this year, or if instead it's in concept this year and it happens next year, is all really dependent on what happens over the next several weeks, and how we move forward. It's also really how it moves forward with the mayor's office as well, because we're looking at a budget where it changes every day. And you know, we went from assuming that we might have around 8 million surplus to now potentially it might be close to 9 million surplus. So it's moving in a positive direction. So how much there may be funding allowed to participate, or to have the community participate in budgeting, it's actually moving in a good direction. So to be able to do that is a good sign. And so I'll make sure to be reaching out to you if that indeed is where we go. But I wanted to hear a little feedback as well from you in regards to how that sounds on your end.
Well, and I just want to do a real quick recap for those that might not have heard about participatory budgeting, and then if I'm wrong in my understanding, you can correct me. But from what I understood, it would be a discretionary fund that would be set aside, say, for example, every district. And as an example, every district would get $100,000. So ideas would be submitted from all throughout the district of what that funds could be used. Probably not the whole $100,000 for any one project, but say smaller projects, whether it be stop signs over here, a crossing guard, well, okay, those are bad examples, but some project that you could see that this pot of money might do. And then much like in the strong neighborhoods, which I think most of you would be involved in, those would get prioritized and decide which should be moved forward, which is a lower priority. Is that my understanding of participatory budgeting?
That is, but it could be one solid item that everybody agrees on as well. It could be that the entire city agrees, you know what, pavement maintenance is bad here, it's bad in every other district, we want our 100 grand to go with their 100 grand to make $1 million and put that towards pavement maintenance. Or we want it to go to public safety. So it could also be that, it could be one ticket item.
Okay.
And that's sort of some of the push and pull that we're gonna probably see from other council offices, is that there will be some that will have a lack of interest on having this participatory budgeting and having this, you know, these discretionary funds aside for the community that's quite a part of utilizing. Knowing that we have some very particular needs right now, we'll probably see a number of council members say that they'd rather just dictate where that money goes rather than have it be spread around.
So would we have then an opportunity to understand what the cost would be? So, and let me give you an example. So $100,000 is not a lot of money. I mean, it sounds like it, but it's just not.
Yeah.
And doing different, you know, projects the way the city's always done them, sometimes we'll chew up funds. I mean, this is the same drum I beat. Sorry, I just do the processes. So if we were to vote, yes, we want to do participatory budgeting, would we be able to hear how much, okay, we want pavement maintenance throughout District 3. Would somebody be there to say, okay, then that will be $5 million? So that then we can say, oh, maybe we need just a stop sign over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Having that costs in our head, or giving us costs would be helpful.
I'm going to make the same assumption because it sounds smart that yes, but I've never been through it either, right? So I think that it's only realistic to know. Oh, you have an answer for that, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, I was playing Gene. I'm sorry.
Just
Yeah.
very briefly, so Pete and I met because we both had some experience in participatory budgeting, and so I think there are a lot of different ways to do this, and my expectation is that there will be some parameters that the mayor's office will establish for this conversation. But one exercise that could be done first would be to do an inventory about how much all those things cost. And all that information we would have to get from the staff. So we would know it's $10,000 for this, and it's $5,000 for this, and $10 million for that. So then we're using some sort of real math to figure out what you can get with that. So I think most of this is actually going to be driven by the people in this room if we're going to participate in terms of what the structure and the process looks like. But I think to what Raul just said is we're going to have the support of the mayor and the staff to give us all the tools that we need to do it well.
And those would be some of the tools, right? Yeah, so that's, yeah, thank you, Gene.
And I think, I'd like to add, because I was a part of the beginning process with Pete and Sam, you know, Mr. Locardo's office, is that I think it would be great if we would pilot this program because we have the experience here. What I mean by that is Pete has, you know, talked to people in Vallejo, right, Pete? You know, you've held a seminar at San Jose State about a year ago on participatory budgeting. So I mean, we already have, you know, our feet in the ground on this, and so I think our district to pilot it would be a great idea. We would just work together. And I think the CLC, because we're all leaders here at this table, and we all can go back and spread the information to our communities. I think this is a great spot to basically start having some of these conversations at our CLC meetings and have certain parts where we're able to invite community members to come and give their input.
So we have Richard and then you got.
Okay, how would we go about this? Would we like walk through our neighborhood and make a wish list, or walk through the district and create a list, or go to our neighborhood meetings and just ask questions, say what would you like, or how would people wake up about this?
Yeah, and once again, I mean, because I haven't gone through it, I couldn't tell you the best way, but certainly the reason why you're all in this room is because you're already representatives of your community, whether you're elected or you've stepped up to do that role. So you speak for them already, just like you would from the neighborhood association aspect. And getting more people engaged, involved, and say if we had meetings out in the community about it, yes, we would expect you to be that liaison to make sure that the neighborhood knows, using our office as well, but making sure people know, and when the meeting may be. What is it that you gotta do to participate? How do we get people involved? Because we don't want it to just be the elected representative of the neighborhood. If we have the opportunity to allow others in those conversations, that's what they're about.
So do we wait till parameters are started?
Yeah, nothing
Parameters
is,
Just wait right now?
nothing is started yet, yeah. And in fact, honestly, like I said, I mean, this could be completely crushed if, say, enough council members get on board and say, look, we don't want to use discretionary funds for anything else other than X, right? And that's. And
So right now, wait and see.
Yeah, it's a wait and see. I have put the feeler out there to Sam that says, I'm willing to participate, and I think our CLC would be, would be willing in a great group, and District 3 could be
Hey, John?
By May 14th, that should be determined.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I like Tina's question, because knowing how much things cost is a factor, but I like the whole idea of this participatory
It's a difficult word, yeah, I know.
He also said zero-based budgeting, and I thought that's what it was. Anyway, I like that because it's, instead of from the top down, it's from the bottom up. And that's, we're the bottom, let's face it. But I really like it.
Richard?
Well, I would like to suggest that this is the visions that I see as per our conversations is the outreach to community, outreach to neighborhood association. That's why I'm here. I believe that the program that I'm sort of formulating, and I will present it to all of you perhaps, the opportunity that arises, is basically to outreach and create tools in which we can better communicate down to the neighborhood. And I call it outreach. It requires some, all of us, our effort to go back to our own community. Here's the program. Here's how you could combine your neighborhood, your community, your committees to input data to give it back to this very notion of this group, so that we can report how to engage into this type of, or find a solution for this type of missing link, if I will. So that's something that again is exactly what you and I had, Mr. Councilman, and I think that is something we'd love to work with the group and be able to promote that tool, that avenue, how we can communicate.
Okay. Well, one thing I would say is there's always a danger when you have a discretionary pot of funds, especially when you're with a group as diverse as this, because District 3 is huge. You run into the danger of one neighborhood becomes pitted against another. Why is your tree pruning more important than our sidewalk gutters? And so we as a group have to learn to trust and to work together and to see the greater good and to understand that, okay, maybe this isn't as pretty, but this is a safety issue. And I think we all know and trust one another enough to know that you can do that. But you see what happens when somebody dies and there's money involved, okay? Sometimes people start squabbling over the smallest thing. So I would just caution us all that if we did decide to participate in this process, if in fact it does go forward, that we do try to think of the greater good of District 3, and maybe your neighborhood has to, take a lower priority for now.
How many associations are there?
18, I believe. I don't know.
32.
I think though that come here, I think it's regularly.
Oh, that come here, yeah, but it would be open
We
to
would
everybody.
do outreach,
Yeah,
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yes.
33, there's 33 organized neighborhood
yeah,
associations.
in all of District 3. Now, we don't have all of them
42
coming here.
neighborhoods, so there could be more organized ones that aren't just
Yeah,
organized.
there were some neighborhoods that used to come that don't, Horace Man, Japantown.
Yeah,
But, I know that at least Patty Phillips is getting updates from District 3, even though she hasn't come for a while. Now Jean's in Japantown, maybe she could strong arm somebody to start coming.
Yeah.
So we could definitely do what we can to improve our outreach, but at this point, we certainly don't have representation on the D3 CLC from every
Yeah.
neighborhood association.
Yeah. So a few more minutes, and I wanted to just leave it open for any other alternative questions or something else that is pressing on people's minds, and then I think there's the announcements right at the end.
Oh, we do have some announcements on the agenda, as you can see. Some of these I believe you all are aware of already. Coming up very quickly, the Coyote Creek Howl is coming up in 2 days. Today's the 15th. And then on Saturday, the Restore Coyote Creek Walk. Wait a minute, I thought that was on Sunday. You know,
I got the ninth.
One of them is
It is on
I
Sunday.
keep
It's
doing
a
that.
Saturday.
The 19th is Sunday, right?
Gonna pass
Yes.
that.
Oh, okay, Liz, you know what happens when you cut and paste, okay? So I got it wrong the last time, and I cut and paste the
Yeah.
wrong information again, so it's really Sunday from,
Sunday.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I apologize for that. I'm gonna have to quit cutting and pasting, but, you know. Oh, but anyway, and then, I don't have any information personally about it, but I'm told that the first annual Silicon Valley Bike Festival and Bicycle Show is coming up on Sunday, May 3rd. Supposed to be very, very interesting, so I was only told about this announcement to put on the agenda. I'm sorry, I'm sure there's a website if you'd like to get further information on that. Liz is passing out little flyers on the Coyote Creek Nature Walk, and guess what, it actually has the correct day of the week. Any other announcements, Tina?
Well, isn't there I thought that there was a Great American Litter Pickup, or did I miss
It's
that?
next
Yes.
week,
I
the
thought that's on
25th.
Yes, I was gonna make that announcement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 25th for the Great American Litter Pickup. D3 is organizing in 2 neighborhoods, but a lot of neighborhood associations are organizing their own, so by all means, doing those. We're doing one in the Gardner neighborhood and one in Ann Darling. And so, we'll be out there with our teams and, you know, the bags and the setup and stuff like that. But if anybody else is doing one in their neighborhood too, yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah,
And we-
I'm sorry.
No, send us that info if you want, we can make sure to post that up too, so.
Yeah, no, on the 25th, we didn't actually realize it was the Great American Litter Pickup, but actually the Friends of Five Blues is doing their semi-annual cleanup, so it just happened to work out nicely that it was on a litter pickup day, yes.
Yeah, we invited all of you to come down and help us pick up Ann Darling. I think we'll be meeting at Ann Darling Elementary School. Come by. Also, the Ann Darling area is having a yard sale, which they traditionally have every year around that time.
Pick up
So
and go.
come by, pick up. We'll have some food out there for an early lunch. Pete, you always
got me
talking
going, yeah.
about coming to my neighborhood.
I'm writing it down right now.
All right, we're gonna connect, Pete. So, what time are we gonna get started on that day, though?
I have it down for 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it down for 8:30. And we do supply, in those 2 areas, we supply food, so,
Come on by.
yeah. That day also in the afternoon, between 1:30 and 3:30, we'll be doing the coffee with your council member at the 5-Spot Grill, which is now Chiva's Grill, but it's on South First Street. So, anybody in south of 280 over there.
Is that on the 25th?
That's on that same day. That's on
At
the
what
same,
time?
we try to do that the 3rd.
1:30?
The 1:30 till 3:30. Yep. Yeah, so, and we promote that, but certainly if you're in the neighborhoods, any of the neighborhoods, south of 280, let them know that that's the day that they can come out if they can't ever make it out during the week to city council to come speak with me. I'll be there for those 2 hours, 1:30 to 3:30. So,
On the 25th.
on the 25th, same day.
I have a last announcement. These have been passed around, so you should all have one by now. And also, our